Turner later tried telling a few people about the creature, but was ridiculed by all. He then tried to put it out of his mind for 45 years, but eventually decided he wanted some closure about the experience, even though he never doubted that the experiences had been real. Yeah, you can't deny a supernatural experience. This is what cracks me up. Sidebar. It cracks me up when people say, "Oh, speaking of tongues isn't for today. That died out in the first century." Really? Like hundreds of millions of people are speaking in tongues while they worship God. How can you? And you just can't deny it. Like you just can't. Well, it's from a demon. Like no, like you can't deny a supernatural experience. When Paul got knocked off that horse, he just couldn't deny his experience with Christ. He just couldn't. You can't deny a supernatural experience. You want to. You can try to rationalize it all you want, but you just can't. And this thing stuck with him for. He didn't. He probably tried. He tried. I said, "Oh, it's probably some old man with hair." Yeah, it wasn't an old man. It was a supernatural experience. All right. He probably had nightmares about this thing. Okay, sorry. Supernatural experiences have a way of reshaping your worldview. I work with people who see spirits. They don't want to see spirits. None of them want to see spirits. They can't help it. And it's just like, how do I make sense of the world? Because I see spirits.
Doug, that reminds me of that old, well, it's not old movie. It came out like 15, 20 years ago, The Sixth Sense, when the boy says, I see ghosts or I see spirits. That's like the
and they're everywhere. I've talked to people who have very similar experiences, but you just can't deny it. You can't deny a supernatural experience. And, I see someone who experienced healing and people, oh, you must have they just psychosomatic and they weren't really, dude, you weren't there. Like I saw the healing. Like I saw it. We can get tests. We got tests. People just will rationally, like their worldview is so set they'll deny everything, and
I mean, to one point, I also understand skepticism because in some charismatic and apostolic churches, they have faked so many things to make you want to vomit and avoid those churches because they're nothing close to the sound doctrine. So I understand, the skepticism, but you cannot be skeptic about everything. If everyone comes to you and they have a good record of being a solid, sound Christian, tell you something, you cannot just always deny because in your church they deny the existence of the spiritual gifts or miracles for today. Then it's like you're more dogmatic and closed-minded than skeptic. So there should be that healthy balance.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of that Bigfoot episode I did on Paranormal where I was in the Scully camp, man. I was like, whatever, this is not real. They're bears. Or they're just like the hairy man who's homeless and they're freaking out.
I would be the same too. Until like a year or two, I would be the same.
Yeah. But then, you just like, there's something there. I don't know what it is, but there's something there. And so I'm in that there's something there camp. You just can't deny supernatural experiences. This guy, I don't know. All right.
You're like a Bigfoot / Yeti agnostic. You're not you're not no, you're like agnostic.
I'm definitely agnostic about it. Like there's something, but okay, it's probably not a bear. All right. So 45 years, he wanted closure. All right. When I retired, I started reflecting on my life, he said. And this came back to my mind. I wasn't drunk or taking drugs. And I know I wouldn't have run from nothing. I mean, I kind of like this idea of maybe he was some sort of the upside down, where he stepped into some parallel universe and that's where the thing was. And when he called on Jesus, he got transformed back into the reality and the thing left the thing behind.
Man, that's a cool plot for a Christian novel. Thank you.
Yeah. Somebody write that. It wouldn't be upside down, it'd be the side by side, right? Okay. There you go. Trademark that and I expect royalties. He still regrets that he didn't have a camera with him that day. Now I see. All right. I'm not sure a camera would have picked up the creature. Okay. I'm not sure a camera would. And I have lots of people who've sent me pictures of spirits that they see. I don't see anything. I don't see anything there. Other people look at it and
go, wait, you have people who send you photos of supposed spirits?
Yes. Oh yeah. And other people who see spiritually like, yeah, can't you see it? I'm like, no, I don't see anything. We are complicated creatures, okay? And like God just made me blind to the spirit realm. All right.
I have some Christian friends, even though there are maybe only a couple, who just when they see, weird cloud formation, they're like, they're always getting religious. They're always like, oh, God is maybe doing something, showing something. There's like a spiritual war. I'm like, it's just weird cloud. That for me, that's all.
I know. People who move in the gift of prophecy look for God's narratives in the strangest things. So I'm sympathetic to that because I can do the same thing.
Yeah. Like you open the fridge, it makes weird noise. You're like,
oh
there's a
gosh,
demon.
Lord is moving, and I just maybe I've done things like that too, but I'm sympathetic to it. Yeah, it's just a cloud, like, is it though? All right, he regrets he didn't have a camera. I'm not sure the camera would have picked it up. We have hundreds of millions of these devices running around, and there's very few pictures of Bigfoot. People still see them. You get your phone out, you try to take a picture.
I'm upset also when it comes to like werewolves or anything. There's always like these blurry, dark images, and like we have much better images from the telescope, from space, and like, come on, you couldn't take a photo like in your backyard or something. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So in July 2014, Turner took his wife back to visit the site of his experience. Which, by the way, next time I'm up there, maybe we should go to the site of the experience. It's not that far from where you live, or not far from the church.
I accept, and I'm not joking. I'm up for those mysterious adventures. I don't have enough positively crazy people like that in my church that would like to do these things.
They probably would. We could take a tour, and then
yes, we can get a few brave men and women and just go. And if we never do the podcast again, hey, we live some good lives.
We will record it for YouTube posterity.
We can maybe go live.
It'd be like what was that movie, the horror movie where it was all from the first person?
The Blair Witch. The Blair Witch. Yeah,
it'll be like that, and the people will be like, they'll go out and they'll just find a bunch of phones because we all got sucked into the side by side. Man, that's good. There you go, man. We had Brian Godawa on it, didn't you? Brian, you need to write that movie. All right, let's continue here. Good. Let's see. All right, so Turner and his wife, they poked around the area and discovered a sort of hut made out of logs stacked, upended around a tree. It was tall enough that Turner could stand up inside, and he said, and the place smelled rank and musty, like an old carpet you put outside after a dog has lain on it for a long time. Ugh. It could have been a Bigfoot hunting blind, but this is a public park, so it's likely that it's human-made. I visited the the area and the hut with Turner in 2015, and while the structure was impressive, the walls were obviously constructed by humans. An empty beer can lay crumbled near the entrance. Still, as I noted earlier in the section about such structures, that doesn't mean it couldn't also have been used by a Bigfoot when partying teenagers aren't around. It seems likely that any Bigfoots inhabiting the preserve when Turner was a young man have probably long since left the area. But here, where are they going to go? Because even then, I don't know that this is actually true. I don't know how far the suburbs were out in the 70s. So, maybe they could escape as the urban sprawl came out. I don't really know, but low flying. Oops, sorry, my Siri is trying to answer something here. Okay, low flying jets zoom. It's always listening, guys. The government is always listening. Apple and Google, Amazon. Okay, sorry. Low-flying jets zoom overhead continually, and the preserve is filled with running, hiking humans on weekends, which is true. When I first read this story, I'm thinking, really? I mean, that place is packed. Okay. Still, I saw 2 deer and found a trackway of definite wolf prints during my visit, showing that other types of wildlife still find the preserve habitable. The Forest Preserve has a backstory too. Turner had chosen that particular park for a ride on his new bicycle that day in 1967 because he was interested in a local historical figure, Alexander Robinson. Robinson, an early settler and chieftain who is part Scottish, part Ottawa, was awarded land in what is now the nearby Checha-Pinquay Forest Preserve, or Robinson Woods. That's what Americans do. We take things we can't pronounce and we just renamed them. The Checha-Pinquay, or Robinson Woods, for his help with treaty negotiations between the U.S. government and several different tribes. He was buried in a small cemetery that, along with most of his forest preserve, has long been believed to be haunted. Huh, I didn't know that. Turner said that he heard of sightings of mysterious lights accompanied by eerie sounds in the vicinity of that cemetery. Well, that's not unusual. I mean, that happens a lot. There are rumors of deer that shape-shifted, he added, and people said they could smell lilacs in winter there. Well, the side-by-side, lilacs are always there. I'm being silly.